She's got long legs and short shorts, but she ain't got no teeth. She wears a red bandana on her head and she smiles so sweet. She'll steal your heart, a very first sight should rip apart your soul. She'll torture your mind and waste your time and drag you down the road, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel.
Hey y'all, you're listening to the St. Andrew's Jezebel Podcast. This is Ashley Feller. I'm a third-generation Panama City native, and I'm also a singer-songwriter. This makes episode 41, and we'll be covering the weekly happenings for the week of August 27th through September the 1st. This week's Salty Local is the creative director of Floriopolis, and that's Heather Parker. You've probably seen her artwork all over town. She's here to talk with us about Play Music on the Porch Day coming up this weekend, and then next Friday, which is Art Break Day. This week's Old News segment celebrates the 7th birthday of Charles Drummond, which was August 28th in 1917. I want to thank everybody so much for all your love and comfort during the time that I was sick. You could probably tell from my voice that I'm not 100%, but I'm on the mend. I'm getting there. I've got a lot to cover. Grab your favorite drink and get ready to enjoy the show. All right, y'all. These are the community events for August 26th through September the 1st. Tonight in downtown Panama City, the Panama City Quality of Life Department will be holding a community charrette at 5:30 to discuss plans for the historic St. Andrew's School. The meeting will be held at City Hall in room 010. Please use the Grace Avenue entrance at 501 Harrison Avenue. This Friday, August 27th at 6 p.m., come make your own macrame wall hanging at Gypsybeach. They will be making macrame wall hangers, and this is where you can take your macrame to the next level. This is an intermediate macrame workshop, and it costs $60. Also, this Friday at 8, the Jazz Masters are playing at the library from 8 to 11. You could order a pizza from the Slice House and enjoy a nice craft beer. Then, of course, the market at St. Andrews is every Saturday, starting at 8 a.m. in the lot next to the shrimp boat. They've got great food trucks, they've got all kinds of local arts and crafts, Megan's got some great laundry soap, and also there's music by Ramblewood starting at 10 a.m. What if for one day, we just stopped and listened to the music? This Saturday is International Play Music on the Porch Day, and it's happening in St. Andrews this Saturday between 3 and 5 p.m. Keep your eye out for many local musicians creating beautiful music throughout the streets of St. Andrews. You can find musicians at Floriopolis, Little Village, Taproom, Thai Basil, even the gas station, so keep an eye out. And of course, for your Sunday fun day, you could go to Little Village. They've got the most wonderful tacos at Finn's, and you can enjoy music by Gilleran's Island starting at 1 p.m. Who says there's nothing to do on a Monday? Every Monday night is Monday Night Little Fest at the Taproom from 6 to 9. This is a musical Monday night get-together at the world-famous Taproom in St. Andrews, where there's all kinds of wonderful singer-songwriters and different artists, and there's also 54 beers on tap. Sounds like a great way to spend a Monday to me. I'd like to encourage everyone to check out the new Art in Public Spaces exhibit on Janie's Fence. The current theme is boats and water, and there's some really beautiful pieces by Jim Hayton, J.A. Robinson, Kelly Dyer, Silas Dyer, Heather Parker, and lots more. I'll have the details next week. I would like to wish a very happy birthday month to Heather Parker, who is the creative director at Floriopolis, and she's also our guest this week. Floriopolis has been a constant support of the podcast, and it brings me a lot of joy to volunteer there. So for Heather's birthday month, there are about 2.5 weeks left in her annual Founders Fundraiser. Here's some information from the fundraising page. Floriopolis has looked at 2022 and locked in some things that we're going to do. Art Break Day and lots of other things too. By donating to this Floriopolis fundraiser, you'll be helping to fund 2 murals and 2 micro art public art projects in St. Andrews, a year's worth of live music at the market, Saturdays in St. Andrews, our home base, a year's worth of monthly creative meetups, monthly storytellers meetings, and weekly interviews for the St. Andrew's Jezebel Podcast, and open public hours and more. A year's worth of art installations on Janie's Fence, Play Music on the Porch Day, Art on the Porch Day, Poem in Your Pocket Day, a collaborative project with Audubon Society, Historic St. Andrews Waterfront Partnership, and FWC. A fully stocked studio so we can offer free art on the spot projects and low cost or free studio art days to artists and visitors. And so artists and volunteers can use the studio supplies to continue to support other businesses and organizations, like Floriopolis has done in the past and is doing now. Some of the things they've done are painting projects like pianos and parade floats, trash cans, cornhole boards, little free libraries, making coloring pages for Audubon, helping the Kaleidoscope kids make props during summer camp, helping out with public eyesore and other community events, and so much more. Floriopolis was established in 2013, and it's an all-volunteer nonprofit 501c3 community arts metropolis whose mission is to use the arts to improve St. Andrews. All cash, check, and credit card donation received during the online fundraiser will be added to the total to help us reach our goal. Facebook does not charge any fees. Floriopolis receives 100% of the funds raised. We let pledges as incentives to reach fundraising milestones, so if you'd like to make a pledge, let Heather Parker know. Using Facebook is the easiest. However, if you wish to make a cash, check, or charge donation in person, call or text Heather Parker at 850-249-9295, and she'd be happy to meet with you. Lastly, I'd like to congratulate the Panama City Publishing Museum for being added to the National Register of Historic Places. For those of you who haven't toured the Panama City Publishing Museum, it's open to the public every Wednesday and Friday, and there are historic walking tours guided by Ellen starting at 1 p.m. That's all the community events I have for this week. Tune in next week for more.
One of the best things about St. Andrews is that you can see live music every day. That's right, there is live music being played somewhere in St. Andrews 7 nights a week. Fortunately, my friend Ken Schaefer creates and publishes a weekly schedule for St. Andrews as well as most of Bay County. Ken's spreadsheet schedule is updated often when there's any changes. Ken also shares individual music events and is walking the walk and talking the talk when it comes to supporting live music. Not only does Ken supply the music schedules, but he attends several music performances a week and takes fantastic photos of the musicians. As a working musician myself, I feel blessed to have Ken and his wife Donna as treasured members of our local musical family. Make sure you like and follow Ken's page, Salty Sounds in St. Andrews, and Oh Boy Music on Facebook, so that you'll always know where all the live music will happen. Thank you so much, Ken, for everything you do.
Heather Parker is the founder and creative director of Floriopolis, a space for artists which relocated just a year ago to 1131 Beck Avenue after spending almost a year functioning without a building following Hurricane Michael. Heather is an extremely creative visual artist and more recently an accomplished muralist. You can find Heather's murals all over downtown Panama City, and hopefully someday we'll be able to see some in St. Andrews. Heather is one of the driving forces in the community concerning art and bringing creative experiences to anyone who ventures into historic St. Andrews. Today, Heather joins us to tell us about 2 upcoming events in St. Andrews, as well as the new chapter of Floriopolis. Good morning, Heather. Thank you for being here today. For those who are unfamiliar, what is Floriopolis? And please describe your role as the creative director.
So Floriopolis is the St. Andrews Arts Metropolis. So we are trying to make St. Andrews the center for all things eclectic and creative and unexpected and freeing. St. Andrews has a really good reputation for being the maybe the stepchild of Panama City, and I feel like that's a good place for art. So through Floriopolis, we're trying to inspire every merchant to put a little bit of the arts into what they do and encourage and train all the visitors to expect the unexpected.
Awesome. And so for those unaware, the original Floriopolis building was sadly lost in Hurricane Michael in 2018. We're now at 1131 Beck Avenue in a much smaller space. Can you tell our listeners what it's like for you in a significantly smaller space?
It's causing us to edit a lot more. We have to really be aware of what we need as far as things in order to do what we do, and still have room for the people, because we really need the people to do what we need to do. So, honing down the bare necessities of supplies and layout and stuff in the space it's good. It's good training, but it is a little bit hard. It's like our own little tiny house. It's about the size of a shipping container, 1 foot wider and a couple of feet longer. So we're kind of on trend right now with tiny house living, and I feel like we've made a pretty good home environment here. What's really interesting is that before we moved into the space at 1125 Beck, we had put a deposit down on this space that we're in now.
Wow.
So this space, bigger at the time, the little divider wall wasn't up. This was our first choice of a location for where we were going to be. And that deal fell through. So we ended up going down to 1125 where Bergen Barrel is now. And then we just fell in love with that space. But after the hurricane, we didn't have the funds or the desire or resources to remodel the space completely. And the new tenants did. So we came over here, which is where we were going to be in the first place.
How's that for a full circle?
It's really weird. It's really weird. We have a way better landlord now than we would have the first time around. So I'm really happy with that.
Me too. I love being here.
So there are 2 Floriopolis events that are quickly approaching. The first one is Play Music on the Porch Day, which is on August 28th. That's the last Saturday in August, always the last Saturday in August. And this will make the 3rd year of involvement for Floriopolis. And Floriopolis has been helping the community participate in this nationwide event. Before we get into that, can you give us some backstory on the event founder and how you got the idea to register St. Andrews as a participating area?
Well, Brian Malman is the founder of Play Music on the Porch Day. And in 2008, he and some friends were just playing around with the question of what if just for one day everything stopped and people just listened to the music. And so it took them a little while to kind of put that thought into action, and they went worldwide. And by 2018, they had 70 countries participating with over 700 different musicians registered for Play Music on the Porch Day. And it's such a simple concept because it's just trying to get everyone to do kind of the same thing at some span during the day, and that the feeling that energy can transcend all across different areas and different lifestyles. And there's no real rules other than to make some music and listen to some music. And Brian Malman is a really interesting guy. He's got some TED Talks and has the same idea that Floriopolis does, that his goal is unity, to get people to share an experience, and his tool is music. And that's kind of what Floriopolis does. We are all about people and uniting an area and creating an invested community. And we use art as the tool to get there.
Well, it's an event that I have loved being able to help out with for the last 2 years and participate in.
It's been neat. You know, the first year was after the hurricane and we weren't even here and we were so displaced and everybody was still pretty scattered when it came time to plan for Play Music on the Porch Day. So that was our first year of, I don't know, can we do it? Let's see. How many people are even open? How many porches do we have? How many musicians have their gear? And then the second year was round 1 of pandemic. And now our third year will be round 2 of pandemic. So
And it rained last year.
Yes, and it was bad weather last year. So there are jokes that the people who planned the date for Play Music on the Porch Day must live above the Mason-Dixon line, because we would never, ever plan an outside event on an afternoon, a Saturday in August, because it's hot or raining.
So for this year, what could folks expect on Play Music on the Porch Day?
So we have a budget for 50 musicians to play in the historic business district of St. Andrews. And we've got a little bit more than 50 porches. So some of the merchants, they go ahead and just book their own musician. Some are already used to having music on a Saturday afternoon anyways. And then we're trying to pair up musicians with locations so that we can pay basically 50 musicians to just make some music. This year will be a little different because we're not really booking time slots. We just want everyone to come to St. Andrews on Saturday, August 28th between 3 and 6 p.m. And hopefully for the visitor, with every step you take, you're going to be able to hear live music coming from some porch. And then for the musicians, we're hoping that they feel a little bit more freedom to not be stationed at their porch for a specific amount of time, and that they can go find their friends and jam together. And we're tight here, so we really can't have music on every single doorstep, or you wouldn't be able to hear one from another. But we'll have some hopefully fun things, like someone serenading you when you want to get gas at the Chevron, because, you know, they should participate too. And they don't really have a porch, but they've got a covered canopy. So we'll have a musician stationed out there. It should be a good energy vibe going on. And we will be paying the musicians, but it's not a significant amount. It's, you know, we're doing the best that we can do just to get them out here. But all musicians will be accepting tips. So we want the visitors to come out, share the love, and Venmo or Cash App or Facebook Pay or PayPal, or just bring cash and put it in the musicians' tip.
So the musician community, I know if some of you have had questions, there's some answers for you. Now, are we still looking for musicians to participate in the event?
We've got about 9 spots left that we have a budget to pay, is basically. So we just counted the porches that we have. And the reason that we're pairing up musicians with actual business names is mainly because you can't accept tips on public property. So we need the musicians to position themselves on private business property so that they're allowed to put their tip jar out. So that's kind of the basis behind why 50 and why are we pairing up musicians with merchants, is so that they can accept tips. So we've got about 9 spots left, but honestly, you don't have to be a registered musician to come. Like, if you are a musician and you have your instruments, just bring them and come and find some other musician to hook up with and jam, or sit yourself in front of a business and make a little bit of music. You can set up on public property as long as you don't set your tip jar out. So you don't have to connect with me or anybody who's organizing the event to participate. Just bring your instruments and come on.
Well, awesome. That sounds really enlightening and lovely. So the following Friday, if I'm correct, that's September the 3rd, is Art Break Day. Can you tell us more about the founders of that event?
Yeah, so Art Break Day is the first Friday of September, and it's also a worldwide event. And they also started around 2008, Lisa Rasmussen and Linda Sharpton. And they had a vision that art is for everyone who has something to say, and that people should take little art breaks every day. And we had recently started Floriopolis with Art on the Spot, which was just a free 10-minute art break. So we were already kind of using the concept of insert a tiny little bit of unexpected art into your day, and your day will go better after that. So we gelled with all of the concepts of what they were trying to do. And again, it's a hot one. It's the first Friday of September annually, and we participate in St. Andrews from 12 to 6. And their mission is for everyone to stop what they would normally be doing and take a break for art. Or stuck at school, or you're on an airplane, or you're scuba diving, or whatever you're doing, sometime during that day, you need to stop what you're doing and insert a little bit of art into your life. Whether you want to write a poem, or you're going to listen to a song you haven't heard before, or you brought your sketchbook and you're going to do a little doodle, or you're picking up a craft that you hadn't worked on for a while. And what we do in St. Andrews is that we provide 50 free art projects or art experiences. So at every merchant in St. Andrews, when you walk through the door, you'll have an opportunity to do some type of art, or witness it, or experience it in some way. And we do try to pair them up with whatever special niche that business has. And then some stuff happens in back. It's not really in your face, front and center. Some people prefer air conditioning, so the project is happening inside or in their back courtyard or something. So from 12 to 6, we celebrate Art Break Day. Oh, and people always ask, why is it during the week? Well, because on Saturdays and Sundays, you're pretty much already programmed to take a break and do something fun. But we need you to insert it into your regular life. And in St. Andrews, we try to tell you to knock off work, actually, and yank the kids out of school, or at least take a long lunch break and come take your art break in St. Andrews.
Absolutely. It sort of reminds me of the concept in the Julia Cameron book, Artist Dates. It's sort of like that, but a little bit more intentional for those who wouldn't ordinarily do something like that.
You're taking yourself on an artist date at the same time everybody else is also taking themselves out on an artist date.
One great big group date.
Absolutely. In one concentrated area. So it's a pretty fun day. It's hot, but it's a day of unexpected surprises and a little bit of bravery. You know, we're going to to ask you to do something you might not have even thought of doing before. So it's fun. It's fun to see the energy with the visitors and the shopkeepers and the artists kind of all interacting together.
Awesome. So I remember last year, there were all these nifty kits that were around the community that was put in place to make things as safe as possible due to the pandemic. What's it going to be like this year in those terms?
We're going to do a little bit different this year. The kits were intense, and it was kind of impossible to give everybody the right instructions that they would need in order to use the supplies that were in their kits. And when we're offering over 50 free art projects, there's no way people can visit every site. But in your kit, you had stuff that represented every site. So there were a few, when it's a pandemic, everybody tries their best. We had a few like ups and downs with that. So this year, the projects will be at the different merchants and they'll have the supplies there. And we're looking at just ordering canvas bags for everybody so that if you don't want to stay at that location and do the project there, you can at least go see what it is, gather up the materials, and then stick them in your bag and take them with you and do them somewhere else. And that kind of puts the visitor in charge of their own experience of what projects do they want to do? Which ones do they want to invest some time in? Cuts down on our expenses a little bit.
That's so smart. And I think that gives folks a little bit more autonomy. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So is Floriopolis looking for folks to help out with either one of the events? Not necessarily musicians for Play Music on the Porch Day, but people to just check on people, go run and do things, small tasks?
Yep. And the most help we normally need, just in general with everything, is we just need people to come. And we need you to be observant and aware and realize that there's no way the Floriopolis volunteers can be everywhere at once. So we need the community to be a Floriopolis volunteer. And if you see something that needs attention, please do your best to tend to it or text me because my phone number will be all over the place so that I can send somebody to tend to it. So one of the things we need to look out for on Play Music on the Porch Day is we don't want the musicians to overheat. Yeah. So if you see somebody that looks like they're working a little too hard or, they're showing signs of heat stroke, help them out. It's not somebody else's job. It's your job. So when you notice it, then try to do something positive to correct a problem. And then on Art Break Day, the biggest thing we need is for people to come. It's not designed for children, but obviously we get a lot of children that come. So there's some safety issues. We need people to be really aware to help families and kids cross the street. So, initiate yourself as a crossing guard and take it upon yourself to help someone else safely get across the street. We'll have people who are lost because they don't know where Art Break Day is. So if you're somebody in the know, you can tell them walk in any shop. There will be something happening in there. And again, overheating is a problem. So just watching for people to take care of themselves and not get too hot. And sometimes we run out of art supplies and we don't have a runner to take supplies down to a location. So if you notice that something needs tending, do what you can do to try to fix it. It's all a community effort. I consider everybody, as soon as you show up, you are a Floriopolis volunteer, and we expect that you're going to help make the event good for yourself and for everybody else.
Absolutely. It's a great model for how I think things should be most of the time.
I hope so, yeah.
Now, so just talking about Floriopolis in general, what are the current needs of Floriopolis, and can we elaborate on how the community can get involved?
Well, we are going to be running a fundraiser soon. I do a Facebook fundraiser as the founder of Floriopolis for my birthday, which is the month of August. So I guess by the time this airs, the fundraiser should be live, and donating to Floriopolis so that we can continue to make a difference in some of the smaller unseen ways like we have since the hurricane, but also grow back up to being significant and present in the fabric of St. Andrews and its development. We've got a public art program in the works that includes some micro art and some interactive sidewalk art, and then some full-scale murals. And so we'll be looking for some funding to help pay some artists and buy some supplies for that. And I'll talk about all that in the fundraiser. And then sponsor a musician at the Saturday market every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we don't pay that musician a lot of money, but we do put a little starter out there. So one way you can help Floriopolis is by tipping the musician that is at the market so that that program can continue and our efforts are supplemented by the funds from the community and the desire to keep the art spirit.
And to me, and that in and of itself is a form of volunteering.
Absolutely. It truly is helping us do what we're already doing by supporting it with a couple dollars here or a big contribution there. That is a way to volunteer. And we need the people, but we also need the funds. So every nonprofit has to have the right balance. If we have a little bit of funds, we can do little things. And if we have big funds, we do bigger things. So it's all relative, really.
One of the other things that I remember Floriopolis has been working on for the last several months is art in public spaces. And one of those projects is Janie's Fence, where Janie's Ceramics used to be. There is now a fence, and there have been monthly themes. There have been reptiles and amphibians for the last theme, and the upcoming one is boats and water. Can you tell us a bit about how the community can get involved with that and just a little bit more details about how that exhibit happened?
So that was one of our post-hurricane, what can we do? It's so ugly, the artists that could paint or had art even that was in their house, but they needed to rebuild their house. They had to have something to do with it. So we just kind of started decorating the Janie's Fence with art. And then it became a little bit more organized and themed. And now we're on a 2-month rotation. It's good for artists and people who don't call themselves artists to have assignments. And even I, in this state of recovery, I can't really create something just because I want to. But if you give me an assignment, then I can do that. And Floriopolis will even provide the materials. So you get the assignment and you get the tools that you need to. So getting people involved in making art for this unified cause to make a public space look better than it did before it fits right in with the theme of Floriopolis. And as long as we have somebody willing to hang the art, and then we have weekly fence checkers who go check on the art, and then we have people who walk by who send us little notes that they appreciate it or they want to know a little bit more about a piece so we can connect that person with the artist. We've even sold a few things off of the fence, which was an unexpected bonus. But we do get some visitors who come in or people who just message us and ask how they can participate. And we'll announce the theme, and all you have to do is make some art. And then on hang up day, you bring your art. We have a little shed out back too. So if you can't catch us when we're open and you can't be at the fence when they're going to install it, you just drop your piece in the shed and we'll hang it up on the fence and you get all the credit for being part of art in public places.
Awesome. So say you do want to come to Floriopolis and be part of more of a community experience of creating art for the fence. When are the public hours when folks can come and participate?
So right now on schedule, we're open from Wednesdays from 12 to 5. There are other times during the week when we're open on accident, but they're not advertised hours. But anytime that you are coming through St. Andrews and you find the door unlocked, just come on in. But Wednesdays from 12 to 5 is the advertised time where we're promising that someone is going to be here. The door will be open, the coffee will be made, and you can come in and hang out and visit with a couple other creative people. You can do a little bit of shopping, read some books made by local authors, and just spend a little time in our new space. And I think we'll increase the public hours eventually, but I don't really know when. Right now, it's working pretty well to have that one day midweek where we promise we'll be here and then, happenstance on the other days.
I'd like to ask you, what are your creative intentions for the month of August?
My creative intentions. Well, I've been working on a commission for someone who has a St. Andrews connection, but now lives in Howards Creek. And so I'll be finishing that piece. We got a few changes that we need to make to it. It's a 4 foot by 8 foot. So it's kind of taking up a good amount of space in my house. So I'll be finishing that one, making the changes and setting that one out for delivery. And then as soon as Brad primes the wall of Sunjammers, the blue wall that faces Slice House, we'll be starting the mural there. So I feel like we could probably get that started in the month of August. Otherwise, I'll just be doing some more planning. But that mural was approved by the city and it's part of the Bay Arts mural program. So that mural will be it'll be the second one in St. Andrews. The first one hasn't started yet, but I already know where it's going to be. And then Art Break Day prep. So we haven't come up with projects for every location yet. So the creative intentions for the month of August are to come up with the best possible idea we can for every business and get all the prep work done for that.
Sounds like the intentions are plentiful.
Yes, yes.
So what do you love about St. Andrews?
It's just got a good feeling to it. It feels like when you watch people interact, everybody looks like they're glad to be here. And there are other places around town where you just don't get that same feeling. People don't have that same open expression on their face. Or there are some places where if two people kind of bump into each other, both of them are a little disgruntled. But in St. Andrews, when two people accidentally bump into each other, you brush shoulders or something because you didn't navigate perfectly. Both people are just saying hello to each other, and they're just like, hey, no problem, good to see you, even if they don't even know the other person. So there's definitely a relaxed attitude in St. Andrews that is a little bit different than other places. So that's what I like about it.
It's a little sweet and salty at times. And so where can folks find your artwork?
I have a Facebook page, Heather Parker, Contemporary Artist, and I keep it somewhat up to date. So there is one photo album in that page that has a collection of a lot of different styles of art that I've done. If you go downtown, you can see the Bee mural, which is at the Craft Bar Emporium and Millie's. It's in that little courtyard there. And then there's the Welcome Wall at the gateway entrance to downtown at 6th and Harrison. And I did the frog mural at the end of that wall. And then if you go inside the Bagel Maker, my daughter Megan and I painted the murals wrapping the inside of Bagel Maker. And then over at Chautauqua Learn and Surf Charter School at 11th and Magnolia. It's our 1118 Magnolia. I'm currently muraling the entire campus. So that's a big job. So you can just drive by there and see all kinds of artwork.
That's amazing, Heather. So we can see your artwork all over town.
Kind of all over town, yeah.
That's wonderful. So thank you so much for being here today. One more question before we go. Where can folks find you and/or Floriopolis online?
Check the Floriopolis Facebook page and the Floriopolis Instagram. And Kelly is the person who manages those two pages. So she's really good about getting back to people. And if you feel like it's taken her a little too long, just send another message, because we're all pretty distracted with, the ways of the world at this point. They're taking a little bit more of our attention. So, be persistent if you really want an answer, and just hit her up on the Floriopolis Facebook or Instagram. And you can always text me. It's 850-249-9295. And again, I'll get back with you. And if it feels like I'm taking a little too long, text me again. It's okay.
Fantastic. Well, Heather, thank you for everything you do for the community and the art world and the art community here in St. Andrews. Again, thank you so much for being here. Till next time, keep St. Andrews salty.
If you've been in Bay County for any length of time, then you've probably heard of Drummond Park. In fact, Lucille Moore Elementary used to be Drummond Park Elementary. My grandmother went there. This week's Old News segment tells about the 7th birthday of Charles Drummond and was published in the St. Andrews Bay News August 28th in 1917. Charles Drummond has a birthday. Master Charles Drummond was 7 years old on Monday, and about 14 of his little friends were invited to help celebrate the event. From 4 o'clock until 6, the little folks had a delightful time playing on Mrs. Drummond's pretty lawn. It was an ideal afternoon, just cloudy enough to be pleasant. The principal event was the most dear of all the children, a mammoth birthday cake, snow white, and decorated with 7 pink candles. These were lit, and a blowing contest followed to see who could blow out the greatest number. Master Charles's cousin, Miss Dorothy Ware, baked the cake, and it was a work of art. Ice cream and cake was served to the small guest, after which they departed, wishing Charles many more happy birthdays. Thank you so much for tuning to episode 41 of the St. Andrews Jezebel Podcast. For those of you who have liked and followed the podcast, thank you so much for your support. If you haven't, then please do. Make sure you check out our Salty Field recordings on YouTube. There's going to be some new episodes coming out soon. If you liked our theme song, that was written by me, and it was recorded by Dave Schwartz on the campus of Gulf Coast State College. The show was written on my kitchen table and recorded in my music room. Till next time, keep St. Andrews salty.
Red lipstick, so thick, and a push-up bra. tramp stamp, stretch marks, and a lacy thong, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel.